Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm so glad you're here with us this morning. Got a great show lined up, a special guest. You're going to learn a whole lot this morning about red fishing. So first, let's do our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. High today, 80s. Getting back into the 80s, low 69. We have a great situation where we may get a little bit of a rain break, but we'll just wait and see. Water temperature right around 75. Let's take a look at these river readings. Always fascinating how they change within a 24 hours. We've been talking all week about how level the Apalachicola have been, and we've been anticipating this, like I said, all week, and man, it did shoot up last night. I mean, it shot straight up. It's out in the banks now. It's reading a 13-foot this morning, and it may even get, it may even change the next day or two. But this weekend, the big river is going to be really high. The Choctawhatchee doing the same thing. It's just a direct reflection of the rain we've been getting. It hasn't been quite as abrupt in its rising, but it's reading a 10-foot this morning and getting on above 10 foot. Both of these rivers are close to flood stage and will be close to it this weekend. All right, let's take a look at the your tide chart there on the screen. It's brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Today, we're in those neap tides. There's just not much movement at all today or on through the weekend. So just be aware of that. You're not going to get a lot of tidal flow. The marine forecast now will be coming out of south-southeast as it has for about 6 weeks for almost every day. South-southeast at about 5 to 10. All right, that takes care of our weather. We'll take our break and come back with our special guest. All right, welcome back and welcome to Fred Myers. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Coach.
Great to have you. I call him a red fisherman extraordinaire. Fred's been on the show a good while back. Yeah. Well, and a time or two, one time with Justin, one time with Matt. So Fred, a local guy, and when I say extraordinarily good at red fishing, we'll just start off. I just asked him a question just before I come on the air. I said, Fred, how many boats have you won in these tournaments? And the answer is?
9.
You won nine boats you won in tournaments. So that right there, that qualifies this show right now as having an expert here.
That's over the past 5 years.
Oh, 5 years. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Grew up here in the Cove?
Yeah, I grew up in the Cove here, Panama City. And, of course, if you guys remember Kendrick Myers' Oldsmobile, that was my granddad, Sonny Myers. Mm-hmm. And then he had 5 grandchildren. My dad's the oldest of 5. And really how I got started is racing sailboats. I raced sailboats, and my dad, we were really good at it. We traveled all over, kind of like I do red fishing, and we were really competitive. And that, along with other things, got pretty expensive. And I kind of started getting older, doing things on my own. And I grew up on the water fishing, and these redfish tournaments came around. And when I say around, they were not in our area. They're down south in Louisiana, and I always watched them and saw them, and I've always knew about the bass tournaments. And catching redfish back then was fairly easy. You know, I mean, we didn't have a lot of pressure like we do here. And one day I hauled off and went and fished one and did okay, and then got a different partner and different things. And before you knew it, I'd always joke with my wife that I won, and because they gave away a boat when I won, and or when I would win, and I'd say I'm just trying to figure out how to haul this second boat home I won when I really didn't win one. So when it happened, she didn't believe me. And but it's just like anything else. I've been doing it for probably redfish tournaments for around 14, 15 years, competitive red fishing, and it didn't happen overnight. That's the biggest thing. I've learned a lot of techniques fishing with other people, and I fished anywhere from, you know, waist down South Florida all the way to almost Mexico, literally Texas, looking for redfish, and I've seen a lot of it, and it's just been a good time. I mean, a good time, and it's a very good competitive sport.
Yeah, and now your job, you do have a regular job too.
Oh yeah, Blackwell Insurance Agency. I'm a commercial property and casualty agency. I do commercial insurance, but I do a lot of boat insurance as well. We have a boat market that's specialized through Charter Lakes Insurance, and I am a Charter Lakes Insurance agent, which allows me to sell their product through my office. And if you hadn't ever heard of it, you know, feel free to call me. But it's a great product. They do a lot of guides and recreational boats, and that's one company that's kind of unique. A lot of companies don't do guide insurance and private insurance, and Charter Lakes will do both.
That's interesting. And speaking of boats and all, one of the best used boats I ever bought, ironically, was from Fraser Myers, his dad.
My dad.
I was driving down around the cove, down there doing something, and I saw this boat parked at the old gas station there.
Yeah.
I said, that's a good-looking boat. It's an old Wahoo boat. You remember that boat?
I grew up skiing and fishing behind that boat.
I wish I hadn't sold it. I kept that boat a long time. I wish I hadn't sold it. That was a fine boat. I just saw it parked. I called the number. It was Fraser, so we made a deal. So that's the one you used growing up?
Yeah, growing up. and if you in your book, the box full, if you look in it, you see Justin Leake and Matt Smith holding those trout. I took the picture.
I didn't realize that.
And we were in that boat.
I did not know that. I sure did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I told the boys that we had a deadline like on Saturday. I think y'all might have gone one afternoon or something after school. And I said, I've got to have a picture. Y'all went out there to East Bay.
I took the picture, and we were in that boat you bought.
Yeah, they told me they had a guide that day.
Yeah, right. No, they're good fishermen.
I know they are. Okay, so you started red fishing in tournaments and all, and like I say, right now we have a local club.
Yeah, Emerald Coast Redfish Club. I think it's changed to Emerald Coast Pro Redfish Series. But don't let that scare you. I actually fished those with my little boy Carter Myers, and he's 7 and he loves it. And we have a great time. They're from basically Destin to Panama City. They go back and forth. And if you guys are interested in a low-key, good, friendly, just fun to learn how to really redfish tournaments, and I say that there's a difference in redfishing and redfishing tournaments, and we'll get into that. But it's a great tournament, great atmosphere, low cost, and it has a good payout, to be honest with you. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Mark and Michael Coward, the Sullivans and all, a lot of local people fish that and enjoy doing it, and that is a good start. We're going to take a quick break and come back and look at some of these pictures of some of the stuff he's won. All right, welcome back. So here with Fred Myers, fresh off a second-place finish down in the Big Redfish Tournament in Placido, which is located
just south of Tampa, basically, south of Venice, Florida, Inglewood area. Charlotte Harbor is where we fished.
Okay, and you told him on the phone that was a challenging tournament. Yeah, y'all got second place.
Yeah, we were leading after the first day. We actually left our fish the first day. We had a bunch of fish, and we had what we thought would put us right up there up top. And of course, we were leading after the first day. And expectively, we wanted to return and catch. We were on a school of about 80 fish or so, and some of them were over, some were unders. And if you're not catching oversized fish, you're not on the right fish. So we knew we were on the right fish. We called up, and we weren't making a long run, so it was easy to get to these fish. But the second day of the tournament's on Saturday, and Saturday is always a challenging day due to, the traffic. And we had a camera on the boat, and people saw that and basically wanted to see what we were doing too, which in saltwater, it's a little different. When you're fishing a fish that mainly lives in 4 foot of water or less, and you get traffic around like you see on TV on these bass tournaments, it really spooks your fish and creates some problems to catch them. So, but we caught 2 fish. There's a lot of guys that didn't catch 2 fish, and had a good day. We just fell short just a little bit by about a pound.
Okay, let's look at some of these pictures. Some good pictures you sent us. Tell us about this first one here.
That's my partner John Oakes, and that's us after the tournament. We won second place there.
Okay.
This is our first day fish. That weight right there, it's 2 fish over 7 pounds. It's 1434.
Wow.
With those 2 fish. And in Florida, you catch fish over 14 pounds, 2 fish in the slot over 14 pounds. And remember, got to mention the slot. I mean, these fish are under 27 inches. So
that's a big
that's what you're looking at. That's us with the same fish, 1444. If you can see my fish, you can see it's funny. I had a partner that I fished with here. Said, man, it looks like those fish are from Louisiana. You can see how big and fat the belly is on the one I'm holding there.
Yeah, they do. Okay.
And this is the last day. That's Aiden, John's son, and that's us after the tournament, our second day fishing. Of course, you can see the difference in the size of the fish.
Yeah,
and you can see the way we're holding them. We're not as proud as we were the first day.
Okay, that's your reward, the Redfish Open.
Yeah, and that's the IFA Redfish Open series. It's an open tournament to anybody. You can register anytime. The second tournament's in Houma, Louisiana, and there'll be a lot of guys going from here over there because they fish the Houma area, and Houma, Louisiana is a great fishery. I mean, you can run 1 mile and have the possibility to win the tournament.
Wow.
Now, I have a tendency to make longer runs and stuff, and actually the furthest run that I've done in a tournament is 189 miles one way.
Oh my goodness.
And back, and we had about 45 minutes to fish.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. And
how'd y'all do?
We didn't make it back.
Ah.
We caught all oversized fish the first day, and it just I mean, the day before they were all slot fish. They were over by about 1/8 of an inch.
No kidding.
And that's the thing about it. I mean, you're looking at this fish, deciding to keep it, and I mean, you're looking at filaments of hair hanging over a pencil lead line. If it's over, it's over. And
Wow.
I had a fish over in a championship last year that was over 9 pounds in Louisiana last year, and you could hardly even see that it was over.
Oh my goodness!
But, yeah.
Just a quick look at some of the payouts and all this. You can see this it pays out well. First place, second place, with all the sponsorships and all. So, all right, and then let's say I got 2 more pictures. Who's this little kid?
That's my little boy Carter Myers, and he loves fishing as much as I do.
All right.
And we got him some new sunglasses for his birthday.
He's proud of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And that's him. He fishes all by himself. He gets mad if I try to help him. And that was actually during right after an Elmore Coast Redfish Club tournament. He wanted us to go find some more fish. So we went and found some more fish there.
That's cool. And of course, you got to show his little.
Yeah, and this is my princess. This is Elizabeth, and of course she's getting to be a daddy's girl, but right now she's all mama, and she's starting to get into the fishing and hunting stuff. And of course, we hunt too, and have a good time with it.
Now, your father-in-law watches the show a lot.
Yeah, Gerald Taylor.
Coach Gerald Taylor. A lot of y'all know Gerald.
Yep, that's Laura's father, and I think y'all
we'll go way back.
Yeah.
We'll go way back. We'll tell all kinds of stories, but we just don't have time now.
Yeah.
So, Fred, you talk about fishing different places and all, and we have a lot of local fishermen who really just they want to redfish and all. What just some brief advice on people beginning? What would you tell them to do?
If I had one advice to tell them, the number one thing in red fishing with the pressure, and of course I fish nothing but artificial. When you're dealing with the artificial lure, the further you get that lure from the boat is the number one thing that we do when we fish redfish tournaments in Florida. Mm-hmm. In Florida, we're fishing with spinning gear. We're fishing with 8-pound braided line. I used to fish with a guy that fished with 15-pound braided line. Looks real similar, very close. And we get on the boat side by side, and I outcast him by probably 15 to 20 yards every cast. And when you're talking about every cast over a day's worth of time, and I'm talking about when we fish these tournaments, we're making 100+ casts a day.
Yeah.
That 20 yards is very critical. When you're fishing an artificial, your boat is the fish's enemy. So what I mean by that is, if you make a 50, 60-yard cast, 70-yard cast, whatever it is, there's a good percentage of that cast, probably 50%, not always, that is just wasted. The fish are not going to bite within that 50% of the cast close to the boat.
Good point.
The number one thing is casting distance. Okay. How you get casting distance is use lighter line. And we're fishing mainly grass flats. It's different if you have fish under a dock, so I'm not talking about all that. But on a flat, typically, and I'm using braided line. I strictly use braid. I never use mono, and it was a big switch for me. Makes it a lot. It's a lot of difference in casting.
Yeah, a lot of people had trouble switching over.
And it's a great thing. I mean, the braided line is the way to go.
Okay, what about your leader? Tell the folks about
that. I use a 20-pound leader. 18 inches or so, just enough to give a little bit of shock, because braid has no shock at all. And so they're not looking at the braid. We're fishing clear water most of the time. After this rain, it's going to be a little dirty, but just so the fish don't see the line, the braided line. but casting distance. You know, I mean that's the main thing. I was fishing with a guy one time that actually fished tournaments, and he was casting and just kind of casting normal, and it was kind of shallow where we were fishing. And I said, man, do me a favor, throw out there as far as you can. And he threw out there as far as you can. I said, you see where that lure landed? I said, there's no redfish between us and the boat.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
And that's mainly how people fish, is they don't concentrate on getting that lure away from the boat.
Yeah. Okay, now do you, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk more tackle. Let's take our final break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back here with Fred Myers. We're going to look at our fish and game forecast first, though, before we get back with Fred. Brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. We're looking at our times of day, right in the middle of the day, right from 11 to 1. Right in the middle of the day, 11:01 tonight, from 11:20 to 1:20. And sitting and talking with Fred, and I don't think people realize how good Fred is. He hasn't got a lot of publicity. I don't know why, but he's won, let's see, 3 IFA championships, and nobody has won.
3 IFA championships. That's where all the teams come together at the end of the year for a big 2-day championship.
That's the big boys now. It really is.
Right.
And you're the only one that's won.
When I say the only one, it's a team partner, and I've won with 3 different partners.
Yeah.
And then I won a IFA Pro-Am last year, which is set up like the Bass out of Slidell. And so where I took 3 days, 3 different amateurs, 3 days in a row to catch fish, and we came out on top last year.
And you won 9 Ranger boats.
9 Ranger boats in the
9.
last. Yeah.
And that's something else. And you're going to be on TV, a lot of TV stuff.
This last tournament we fished out of Placida. The second day we were in the lead, so we toted a camera guy all around, and we caught a lot of fish. We just did not catch the right fish, but it was tough fishing, and we caught a lot of fish, so there'll be a lot of airtime. And you'll also get the exciting part where the boat was parked on top of our sandbar on the second day that the guy got all in the video. So it'll make good TV.
Okay, all right. All right, well, let's talk. We talked about what size line you use and everything, and then you got to have some secrets. So he's going to show you. You got some great sponsors. Yeah,
Power Pole's our main sponsor. I mean, that allows you to stake down, and I was sitting out there just like John Olivero. He invented the Power Pole, and the biggest thing is man, you've ever been out there fishing and say, man, I wish I could just stop my boat right here. and of course the Power Pole's come a long way. You push a button, it goes down silently. They got 10 footers all the way down to 4 footers, and basically it's a pole that goes on the back of the boat that deploys, and we'll show more about that in a different segment, but basically it deploys with a button just like a remote and stops you right there. I run 2 Power Poles on each side at a certain angle, and what that allows it to do is when you have a certain wind direction, you deploy 2 Power Poles, and it doesn't allow the boat to swing. It keeps you right there, pointed in the direction that you have the fish or hook up. And you catch a fish. The idea of it is you catch a fish, you put the Power Poles down, and you fight that fish. You get them in, and you haven't moved anywhere on that flat. If you weren't able to stop, you drifted 100 yards before you landed that fish, and you passed through a bunch of fish and use up a lot of your what's called good fishing water. One other thing that to point out when you're fishing is mainly make sure the wind's always at your back. I see these guys coming down the flat and they're casting. There's 2 things that hurts. When you're throwing into the wind, you're not going to get the casting distance. When you throw with the wind, you're going to cast a lot further. And the main thing with going with the wind is hull slap. You can't, people don't pay attention to it, but going into the wind with that boat, hull slap, the fish are sliding, what we call sliding off away from the boat before you get within a casting distance.
Good point. And saltwater sassing.
Yeah, saltwater sassing has really helped me out over the years, and they've came out with a hook now that's a weedless hook.
All right, well, hold right here. He'll be able to put it. Let's see. Go ahead and Jeff, see if we can get that right there. All right.
And basically, that's a dye dapper, and it's got a weedless hook. You can see a weight on it. It comes anywhere from 1/8 ounce weight to up to a quarter, 1/8, 3/16, and 1/4 ounce. You can see the big tail on this bait here, and it's a paddle tail. And basically at the end of June, when you get a lot of June grass, you can't throw a topwater. All this bait you need to do is reel it. That paddle tail with that lighter weight will make it come to the surface, and it'll look just like a topwater. This is a more conventional lure that I use. That's called a little tapper made by Saltwater Sassing, and it's rigged weedless, and that's a 3/0 hook with a 3/16 ounce weight. And you can throw it a long ways. And you just kind of fish it just like you do a jig. It will not get hung up in the grass. And then I got one more here. This little bait here is called an Elite Shiner, and it's the same thing. You can rig it on that small hook. I'll let Carter throw this a little bit because he can throw it and just reel it. Now, one thing with this smaller bait and this paddle tail is it's not going to cast as far with that tail on the back of it. The windage doesn't allow it to go as far, so you got to kind of watch out for that. But saltwater assassin, they also make great lead heads, and this is the new thing. They're weedless hooks, and they've been doing that just for the last couple months, and it's really catching on, these weedless hooks.
All right, Fred, let's talk about color.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about your colors?
I use some basic colors. I brought these colors basically just so they'll show up on the screen. But in Louisiana, when I'm sight fishing, I use nothing but bait casters. I'll use 65-pound braid and bait casters, and I'll tie the braid all the way to the hook. And the biggest thing is I'm sight fishing. I'm waiting for these fish to come by, and I want to be able to see that bait, whether it be just this fluorescent tail or a whole white color bait. I'll pitch out there in front of that fish, and I want to see that fish, and I want to get it in front of the fish far enough to where I don't spook it and he races up there and bites. It's the idea. In Florida, it's all about natural colors. You're casting a long ways. Typically, you're not sight fishing as much. I used to sight fish here a lot. I have a small little boat that we pole, and then I have a bigger boat, but it's gotten more difficult with fishing pressure. You catch more fish doing away with the with the sight fishing. In general, you got to have the supreme conditions to really catch those fish tailing and sight fishing like we'd like to do.
The best thing, just go out there and just fish with the wind and
cast as far as you can. Use hooks and baits that are not going to get tangled in the grass, and check out those new hooks from Saltwater Assassin. They're a great product.
Well, Fred, thank you so much, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations on all that success, and good luck to you.
Well, I couldn't have done it without the support of my family and bringing up with my dad, and you know, it's, you know, I always like to have fun fishing, but it's always a lot more fun when you win.
All right. Thank you, folks, for watching us. God bless you. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.